Most businesses don't stall because the idea is bad. They stall because they're reliant on one person, because one person is the bottleneck or the system. And a system built around one person has a very low ceiling. I learned this the hard way earlier this year. I went from having not enough work to being completely overloaded in a space of about 6 weeks. Not because demand exploded, but because I was trying to do everything myself, and I just don't have that much capacity as a single individual. Sales, onboarding, delivery, admin, literally everything. I was the entire business. In other words, there was no business. It was just me. And it becomes obvious very quickly, especially when you start splitting your time across different functions, how little one person can actually do. Here's more or less how this plays out when you are the system. You start off needing some work. And so what do? You push sales. You go out and you go hunting for some clients, for some work, for some opportunities. And then after pushing sales and focusing on sales for a few weeks or a couple of months, you will hopefully have some work. Once that work comes in, you're then overloaded with delivery. And a tempting thing to do when you get overloaded with delivery is to pause sales and focus on finishing off the projects that you're working on. So you turn sales off, you clear the backlog. And in the moment that you clear the backlog, you've got nothing in the pipeline. And so you have to turn sales back on and you go back to hunting. Growth, stall, and the cycle just repeats itself. And it's not a market problem. The market's not inconsistent. Your capacity is inconsistent. A business cannot grow past the capacity of the person that it's built around. If every single function in the business requires you, then every function is capped by you. There are 3 ways that the founder of a business generally becomes the bottleneck. The first one is by far the most common: throughput. There are only so many hours that you can physically work. Everybody's got 24 hours in a day. You can work weekends, sure, you can work late, you can try and outwork everyone else, but at the end of the day, there's only 24 hours. You can't make your days 30 hours. Your scale is going to be capped by how much work you can push through in your waking hours each day. And that is the most common bottleneck. And it's also one of the easiest ones to avoid. The second common failure point is decisions. If every single decision waits on you, if you hoard all the decision making, speed collapses. You're not agile. You can't move quickly when every single thing is stuck on your desk. And then the third one is context. And this is a trickier one, at least at first. But if all of the expertise that you need in order to deliver the outcome or result for your clients is in your head, how is your team going to use it? How is it going to be able to move? How are things going to move through the system without you? They simply can't. They get stuck. And so if any one of those is true, then you are the system and your business won't be able to scale. Earlier this year, I literally hit all 3 at once. I was delivering, I was deciding, and I was carrying all of the context. The business didn't have constraints. I was the constraint. And I got so busy that I had to turn sales off and then lost all my momentum and then had to turn it back on. And I just became this growth stall cycle. And so after rebuilding the model and trying to take as much of that context out of my head and put it into repeatable templates, I have made a commitment that effective 1 December this year, 2025, I have turned the sales machine back on and I am not going to turn it off again. I'll pause it briefly over Christmas, but it's going to run indefinitely for the whole of 2026. No throttling, no temporary pauses while we close out our projects. It's going to run non-stop at full volume. And to be honest, this low-key makes me pretty fucking nervous because keeping the sales machine running, it does something uncomfortable. It creates pressure. If your deals keep coming in when you're already busy and you aren't going to grab the tap and turn it off or at least slow the flow down, then what happens is you have no choice but to hire and expand your capacity. You have to document your processes so that the context isn't stuck in your head. You have to delegate because you literally can't do everything. And ultimately you have to systemize. Thinking about all of the pressure that leaving this machine running is going to create is making me shit myself. But that's the point. I know that this pressure will force growth. It's impossible that it won't. And it's growth that would not otherwise occur if I did this in a comfortable fashion. If the sales function keeps running every single business day, something has to give. Either the business grows or I burn out. And to be honest, that's the choice that I avoided all this year by constantly turning the sales machine off every time that I got busy. This time, the system has to change and it has to grow with the sales machine, not later, now. And I think the other thing that a lot of people miss is that if you are the bottleneck in your business, it's not really a business. It's a fragile job and it's not sellable. If you decide that you want to exit, it's not going to be valuable to another person. You can't market it when it depends on you. It's not scalable and it collapses when you step away. So it's not valuable to anybody except you while you're willing to continue running it. No serious buyer wants a business that depends on a single individual waking up feeling good and ready to execute every single day. I mean, that just sounds ridiculous. If you want to own an asset or you want to exit further down the track, the system has to work without you. Otherwise, there's nothing to buy. And I think that's the key takeaway. Your business will not grow until you stop being the bottleneck. And true growth really starts the day that you design something that can run independently of you and you start to step back. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I drop one like this every 48 hours and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks.